Hey guys, earlier this week I was introduced to how to make shapes with CSS. So I thought it'd be cool to walk you through a basic shape from this website and build it together. So the shape that I picked is this magnifying glass. So that's our end goal. And let's talk about some of our approach here. So what I'm seeing with this is I'm seeing a circle that has a white background and it also has a thick border around it. And then we have a little rectangle that is translated to the right and down and rotated a little bit. That's hooked onto it. And so we're gonna try to see if we can build this. So to start with, I've got a div here that's just empty in the class of magnifying glass. And then in our CSS, we're selecting that class. And this is where the magic's gonna happen. So first of all, we need to make a circle. So let's do that. We'll say we want the width of this to be 50 pixels, the height to be 50 pixels, and the background color, we want it to be white, and the border of it to be, I don't know, let's just throw out 10 pixels, solid red for now. Okay, all right, so we've got a square. We can make that into a circle by using border radius. And we want that to be 50%, and that should round out all the corners. Perfect, okay. Now, notice how our width and our height are the same. Because this is a circle, let's design it based off of a circle's attributes. So instead of using hard-coded values, let's use a variable here. We'll call it diameter, set it equal to 100 pixels. And that's what we'll use in our width and height because we want it to be the same, just like a circle is. So let's get that changed. Okay, cool. So now, as you can see, the diameter took effect, but our border got like thinner because the shape got bigger. And if we keep doing that, if we change the diameter now to like 300 pixels, 10 pixels is not a thick border compared to 300. So we also need to make our border relative to the diameter. So we can do that by using the variable and then multiplying it by a fraction or a decimal to create a ratio. And this is actually like almost spot on for what we want. 0.2, that looks about right. And if we scale it up here, it keeps its ratio for the border thickness, which is pretty cool. So that's what we'll do there. And so there's the lens of our magnifying glass. Now all we got to do is the handle. And we can do that by using after to add in another element onto it. So we'll do after. In order for this to work, we need to do position relative on the parent so that we can move it around based off of the original circle. Absolute, cool. All right, and then let's give this a width and a height to start with. So it needs to be pretty thin. Let's go 10 pixels, and the height, we'll go 20 pixels. See what that looks like. Oh, and we should probably give it a background color so we can see it. Okay, we're getting there. Oh, I forgot the most important part. We need content. After requires that. Even if the content's empty, it won't show up unless you have that. Okay, so from here, we're gonna do a transform translate on it to move it around. So transform translate, and we're just gonna throw out 100 pixels on both for X and Y now and see where that goes. All right, so that's pretty close. And then we're going to rotate it 45 degrees, try that. Okay. Yeah, so we need 45 degrees. Cool. Oh, that's because our width and our height are messed up. This should be 10, and that should be negative 45. Now that handle's looking really small, so let's enlarge that, and let's use the diameter this time to kind of maintain consistency. Let's try with half. Okay, that looks pretty good, but it needs to be wider. Diameter, but we don't want it to be too wide. Let's try that. Cool, that looks good. Now, we're a little bit off on our translate here, but watch this. If I change the size to like 300 pixels, then we're really off. So that also needs to be based off our diameter. So we'll change that here. We'll just put diameter in to start with. Okay, so that's decently close. We can probably move it to the right a little bit more and up. So since it's so close, let's try 0.75. Oh, and also 0.6. Okay, now watch this. Right now, this is actually more than 100 pixels wide for our diameter because we're not using the box sizing border box property. But if we do that, it will take it into account. So box sizing, border box. Boom. Now that took it into account. And let's check up with everything that we've got. So right now our diameter looks a little thick. I mean, our border on our circle after changing that, let's make it a little thinner. There we go. And everything just snapped right into place there. And now if we can scale it up 300 pixels and it stays, everything stays where it should. The ratios are maintained and it looks nice. Yeah, so that's how you build a magnifying glass with pure CSS in one div. There you go.